Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In today's video, I'm going to show you the best Wii U emulator, probably the only functional Wii U emulator out there, CEMU. Let's get started. I will be leaving links to everything in the description, so if you do miss something I say, take a look in the description of this video, click on the link, and you'll be where you need to go. I will say right off the bat, if you do want to emulate the Wii U successfully, you will need a fairly strong PC. Now, I have my specs up here. I'm running an AMD FX 8320. It's got an 8-core processor. It is a number of years old at this point. On top of that, I'm running 16 gigs of DDR3 memory, and I'm running an ATI Radeon R7 370. It has 4 gigs of DDR5 memory, and this card is also a number of years old. So my PC is definitely not top of the line, and it really shows. In Zelda Breath of the Wild, for example, I can emulate roughly 17 frames a second steadily. It will drop down to 12, 13, even lower during times of heavy loading. In menus and whatnot, I do get a steady 60 frames a second. However, that's just for the menus. So when I'm actually playing the game, it drops down considerably. If you do have a PC that's much more powerful than this, you should, in theory, have a better experience. If you have a PC with slightly worse specs than I do, you also may struggle to run Breath of the Wild or any other game using CEMU. The system requirements here, it says 4 GB minimum and 8 GB or more recommended. I would actually recommend 16 gigs in order to run this Wii U emulator smoothly. I've noticed that using 8 GB of memory, it does stutter a little more. Something else that's not mentioned, if you do have a solid state drive, I would highly recommend installing CEMU on the solid state drive. I tried on a solid state drive, I tried on a regular hard drive, and the SSD roughly got me 2 to 4 frames a second better than when running on an HDD. If you want to download CEMU, head over to cmu.info. This is the home page of CEMU. It's got some information here, controller input, performance and usability. And this is a point that I want to stress. It says CEMU is not intended for general use yet. So it still is in very early development. Performance-wise, I don't know if it'll get that much better. It'll just be compatibility. I believe that will get better as time goes on. So do take note of that. It's still very early on in this emulator. So if it's not working for you, don't be frustrated. Have patience. CEMU will get better. You can download the latest version here. It's version 1.13 at the time of this video. And I'm actually going to use 1.12. I found that 1.13, I get a few less frames a second on my PC. 1.12 works better. So if you are running into issues with a certain version, try out a different one and see if it helps. On this website, there's also a community page, which is super helpful. They do have a forum, a Discord, a Reddit page, and a NeoGAF forum. Now, I would highly, highly recommend checking out the Reddit page. It is reddit.com/r/CEMU. Not to be mistaken with reddit.com/r/CEMU piracy, which I would obviously not recommend going to for a number of reasons. If you click on the compatibility tab on the CEMU site, it is actually something I would highly recommend doing right away because it'll show you whether or not the game you're trying to emulate is compatible and to what extent it's compatible. So you can see here with the stats, they're 17% perfect, 29% are playable, 18% run, 20% load, and 16% are unplayable. Furthermore, if you do click on a game here, for example, 007 Legends, there are known issues. So if you are experiencing issues in a game, there's a wiki that's super helpful that will tell you whether or not it's regular. For example, occasionally no visual shown, black screen with audio when entering full screen mode in CEMU. There is also a very handy FAQ page, which controllers are supported, does sound work, Is there support for online? Will other platforms besides Windows be supported? And so on and so forth. Once you have CEMU downloaded and installed, I would recommend putting an additional ROMs folder within the CEMU folder itself, and then that way everything is in one location. For example, if you had CEMU on a solid state drive and then had the game on a hard drive, there may be issues with loading speeds and whatnot that would be resolved if everything was just in one place. Once CEMU is downloaded and installed and everything is all ready to go, I would recommend going to cmuhook.sshnuke.net. I'll leave a link in the description below. Cmu Hook is an additional add-on to CEMU, and it will allow you to have additional menu options which will improve performance and compatibility. When Cmu Hook is installed correctly, in the CEMU menu, you will see little things here. You can see there's like a little pirate hook, and that is from Cmu Hook. One really neat feature of CEMU is the fact that you can install game updates. So if you have the files, for example, Zelda Breath of the Wild has 2 DLC packs. If you have those packs, you can patch them into the game so that when you run the game on CEMU, it will recognize that you have the DLC and you can use it in game. Now, I will take you through how I have this CEMU emulator set up, but by all means, if something's not working, check out the CEMU Reddit page, post questions in there with your specs and issues you're having, and there'll be usually someone there to help you out. On top of that, fiddle around and see what works best. Honestly, that's usually one of the best things to do within emulators is just tinker around with the settings in order to help improve and just trial and error, really, right? Trial and error, try something out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, change it back. So in the options selection here, I don't have VSync enabled. I use the bicubic upscale filter. I noticed no difference on my processor with the bilinear or bicubic selected. Full screen scaling, I have keep aspect ratio. GPU buffer cache accuracy, I have as low for fast. I'm trying to get as much FPS as possible. Gamepad motion source is set to default. Experimental, I have enable BOTW crash workaround and use RDTSC. In the graphics pack menu, there are a lot of configuration options. This graphics pack menu looks slightly different in CEMU 13, and it'll probably look different in CEMU 14. But this is it in CEMU 12, so it's just checkbox for on and off. I have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, no anti-aliasing. I have also the AMD light cycle fix, considering I am running with an AMD processor and an ATI card. If I scroll down here, I've also got the FPS++ graphic pack checked on, as well as the LWZX crash workaround checked as well. There are also other graphics packs in here if you want to increase the resolution, if you want to do other things. I would recommend not checking the static FPS mod or the FPS lock, for example, 30 FPS lock, if your processor cannot push it to 30 FPS because it might cause additional issues. You can also upscale your graphics if you see fit. So if you are running into FPS issues, you can try checking 640 by 360. Now, I have this unchecked because when I checked it off, I got maybe an extra frame a second. I didn't really notice much of a difference, and it made the game look very ugly. So use this one if you feel like it, if it helps. If it doesn't help, then don't worry about it. In the CPU menu, there is a mode here. Now, I think it defaults to single core interpreter. If you have a multi-core PC, for example, if you have a quad-core PC, you should probably try the dual-core recompiler. If you have more than a quad-core PC, for example, if you have 6 or 8 cores, then I would definitely recommend trying the triple-core recompiler. I have an 8-core PC, so I am trying the triple-core recompiler. It works best for me. There's also a neat NFC option here, so scan NFC tag from file if you do want to go down that alley. Heading into the debug menu here, there are different options. These ones, again with the hook, are from the Cmu Hook add-on. If you did not install Cmu Hook or installed it incorrectly, then these options will not be available. So precompiled shader cache I have set to disabled and ignored. Disable CPU extensions, I don't have anything checked there. timer accuracy, I have set to 1 millisecond. In custom timer, I have it set to RDTSC 1x speed. Now I can set this to QPC at 1x speed as well, and it really doesn't make a difference when I emulate. Now loading Zelda Breath of the Wild, every time I load it, it does take a bit of time. You can see it here compiling cached shaders, and there are 1,231 to load. So it does take a bit of time. It's taking even extra time now that I am running OBS software, as well as trying to run the game. So my CPU is under heavy load at this moment. So here's the main menu for Zelda Breath of the Wild. For controller, I am using a Microsoft Xbox 360 wired controller that was made for the PC. At this moment, you can notice that the controller is not working on the menu. So what I'm going to do is head over into the options menu, go down to input settings. Now there are different inputs for the controllers. I already have a profile saved for the X360, so I went through the setup for each button, and it says emulate controller disabled. So at this point, I am going to select Wii U Pro controller, use the X360 profile, load it up, and I'm ready to go. Now, when I select in the menu, control with Wii U Pro controller, and my controller works. All right, and here is Breath of the Wild up and running on CEMU. If you take a look at the FPS on the very top of the screen, it's currently reading 8.47 and bouncing around the 8 mark. And that is because I do have this recording software running, which is using a lot of my CPU, as well as trying to run the emulator at the same time. If I was to shut off Open Broadcaster software, so that's OBS, that is the screen recorder, my FPS jumps up considerably. But you can see the game is running, it works, the sound works, the controls work, and everything appears to be okay. Mind you, this emulator is still undergoing improvements and revisions, so we can only expect things to be even better in the future. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. If you like my video, leave a like. If you didn't like my video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Definitely check out the CMU Reddit page. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you, everyone. Take care.